What is one thing that you would say to a student? So thinking about yourself trying, and when you were in a different school, trying to say to your friends, like, I think this is a problem and I want to do something about it. What do you say to somebody who's listening to this and thinking about that in the isolation of their own room or in their own sort of sense of experience without access to people who get it?
I would say ask yourself those really meaningful and thoughtful questions and actually think about your answer to this. Like, do you truly want to live this way for the rest of your life? No? Then what are you going to do about it? Because this is about self-discipline as well.
Hello, and welcome to You Matter Here, our Minnesota Transitions Charter School podcast, where we elevate the voices of our people, dig deeper into our big ideas, and explore how we show up for ourselves and each other in order to make magic happen. I am your host, Wendy Lorenz-Walraven, the Director of Equity and Diversity here at MTCS. My hope is that as we spend time together, we will have an opportunity to explore three key questions. Who am I? Who are we? And who are we to each other? As it is the intersection of these questions that informs the assumptions we make, drives our behavior, and impacts our relationships with ourselves and with others. All right, so welcome to our MTCS podcast, You Matter Here. I'm extremely excited to speak to our guests today, all of whom are current students at P.E.A.S.E Academy, which stands for Peers Enjoying a Sober Education. Thank you all for being here and for your willingness to share your stories and insights with us today. I really appreciate it. So let's get curious. I'd love an opportunity for you all to introduce yourself, have a moment to share your name, share something that you think would be important for our listeners to know about you. Who wants to start?
Okay, I guess I can start. My name's Mason. Been at P.E.A.S.E since May of 2021. I'm in my junior year now. Been there since I was a freshman, like the end of my freshman year. And my sober date is 5/3/22, so May 5th, and I'm a little over 7 months sober.
Yeah, rad.
So,
congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm Ella. I've been at P.E.A.S.E since March of this year, and my sober date is July 31st of 2022.
Right on.
And hi, I'm Momo, and I've been at P.E.A.S.E since November of last year.
Okay.
And my sober day is 10/9/22.
Yeah, congratulations. That's amazing. I think being a young person today is hard enough. And then you add in, various layers of what your experiences have been. So just even making it and being here today is something that you should be really proud of. And congratulations on the work it takes to be in recovery, to be in active recovery, and to keep those sober dates for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So how did this kind of question, I'll just ask questions to all of you and give you each an opportunity to answer if that works for you. So how did you and your family or your guardian decide that P.E.A.S.E was a good fit for you?
Yeah, so how I came to P.E.A.S.E was I went to treatment when I was 14, and then got out of there and kept using, and then eventually things got really bad it was actually May 2021, and I had gone back to my old school out of treatment. I used to go to Centennial High School. And yeah, I just things got bad, and then I ended up overdosing and went to a not a treatment, but just a regular psych ward or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I got out, and we had like this plan laid out, and part of the plan was that I have to go to P.E.A.S.E, and I didn't want to go at all because I was like, I just didn't want to go. Mm-hmm. I ended up going, and I actually did like it my first day. So, yeah, it was Yeah, and then I've had a couple relapses in my time there, and I wasn't fully sober when I started. However, the growth in community it brings is just like something else.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's kind of how I got there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate
Yeah, of course.
your bravery in that for sure. Ella, how about you?
So going to treatment was like a surprise for me. I came home from school on a Friday and my whole family was there. So my mom, stepdad, dad, and stepmom, which was really weird. And they were like, hey, you're going to treatment next week. And today was your last day at your school. Like, you're not going back. When you get out of treatment, you're going to this sober school that we like found out about. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what the but yeah, so I was in treatment and I got sent home, or I like didn't successfully complete treatment just because of like behavioral issues. And they wanted to send me to like a 6 to 9 month long outpatient program. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, what? No. And so we like set up a evaluation with them, and like the wait list was really long. And so my parents were like, hey, remember this place we told you about? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, let's go tour it. So I like had a meeting with Michael and Katie and, got to see the school. And I was like, this place is actually kind of dope. Like the people here seem really cool. So I ended up, it was supposed to be temporary. I was only supposed to go for a couple weeks until the outpatient opened up, but it really helped me a lot, more than I think any treatment center could do. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, Momo, how about you?
My story is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually from Michigan. And like the way I moved to Minnesota, my mom and I had gotten into an argument, and she kicked me out, and I was like already living all over the place, and she took me off a phone plan, so I was like, oh, like it's really
real.
official.
Yeah.
And like my mom and my dad were split up like growing up, so I just called my dad because he said he always has my back, and I was like, hey, I'm stuck. Can you please come pick me up? This is like my first time talking to him in years. And he was like, yeah, we're going to pick you up Friday. And he was like, talk to your mom, make sure. And I was like, okay. And he was like, just kidding, we're coming tonight. And he came, picked me up within 12 hours. And I remember on the drive there to Minnesota, my stepmom and my dad were both like, hey, do you use drugs? And I was like, oh yeah, of course, because I mean,
like, easy question. Next.
It was a normal thing where I was. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, okay, we don't do that here. And I'm like, oh, really? And they were like, yeah. And within my first week, I found out about P.E.A.S.E through a friend of our family, and I had my orientation, and that was it, and I started.
That's incredible. A lot of surprises, but also, do you think that your willingness to just go was because you felt like you didn't have another choice, or did you feel at some point that you were ready for that?
For both, because I definitely had a really hard time from where I was, so I was willing to accept anything that they were offering me, because I was tired of self-sabotaging everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful place when you can get to a point where you want to invest more in yourself, right?
I agree, yeah.
So how has P.E.A.S.E been helpful for you in your recovery and your educational journey as you're doing both of those things alongside one another every day?
I mean, for the educational part, I've never been to a school that's so, what's the word? They're just so close with you, and, they're so willing to help you in your, specific situation. And, they will, like, I've worked with teachers for like an hour straight on one question because I'm confused, but like they're willing to do that. Like any normal teacher would be like, no, sorry, I got to go help other students, but like they love all of us so much, and it really means a lot. And then the other part was like for my recovery, like how has P.E.A.S.E helped? P.E.A.S.E has helped literally with like probably 75% of my recovery. Like I feel like treatment was kind of like the first like stepping stone to getting sober. But P.E.A.S.E was really how I've like stayed sober. I mean, I've only had one relapse since starting at P.E.A.S.E. And they just, it's so nice. Like we have Rufus, like we can go and talk to him at any point in the day, like Mike and Katie, like even the teachers, you literally can talk to anyone, and like you meet so many different kind of people because students are always coming in and out. Like you meet so many different kind of people and different perspectives, and like a lot of them have been through a lot of the same shit that you have, and so you're really able to like connect with people in a way that you probably haven't before. But yeah, it's just it's very unique, and it's helped me a lot.
Yeah. One of the things that we've talked about when I've talked with Rufus and talked with Katie and with Michael is really about this element of connection, right? And when you think about how connected or disconnected you were with yourself or with other people when you were in active use, and how that connection that's provided at P.E.A.S.E really is an anchor for you all. So it's nice to hear you talk about that too. One thing for adults to say things. Okay, perfect. So Mason, Momo, how about you?
I can go.
Great.
Okay. With my recovery, P.E.A.S.E helped with nearly all of it. Because I didn't have, what's the word? I didn't have treatment to go to. Like I never went, so I didn't know what anything was. And the way that they provide, again, a community and a connection, the staff are insanely, like, they're so beautiful, and they show you their true personality instead of like a mask that they cover up with and have a dreadful yearning to go home.
Yeah.
They actually care about you, and they listen to how you feel. They ask how you're doing, and it's a safe space to actually open up to any of the staff, like, you know, not just Rufus. And it's a really like beautiful to me because, like, again, I'm 18 and I had never come across any teachers in any school that were like this, like maybe one.
Yeah.
You know, and to have an entire community from that, and to be introduced to a community that also can relate to you is amazing. And with my education, they've really, really helped me there too, because I'm right now a super senior. And I thought coming here that I had no chance of ever having, like, being able to get a high school diploma. But now they've introduced me into a program to where I'm going to be able to start college in January.
Yes.
So it's so amazing. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so, I'm very excited for you, and your journey. That is definitely something to be proud of, and we're going to have some kind of graduation thing for you to celebrate. That's great. How about you, Mason?
Yeah, for the like education part, before I came out, I was like, in like middle school, I was like A's and B's, and then like 8th grade, 9th grade, just was like almost failing, really, because, you know, I was just in active use. And then I came to P.E.A.S.E, and first year and last year my grades weren't very good, but significantly better. And then now I have A's and B's again. And I think the reason that my grades were better ties into the like recovery piece too, just feeling comfortable there. And it takes a while to get comfortable, but you know, you can talk to any of the teachers about anything. Yeah, and then as far as like my recovery, it's helped a lot in both really helpful good ways and also like necessary evils type of thing. Like, you know, I've had some of my worst days there, some of my best days there, whatever. But just the connection of like other people that are your age that kind of get it, that like understand, because at any other school, if you try and talk to somebody like, you know, this is like I'm like smoking weed and it's like too much or whatever, and I feel like it's like becoming a problem. Like people will like laugh at me or something, like, bro, like, I don't know.
You mean like the peers, like your like friends would minimize, like, why is it a problem?
Yeah, exactly, because people then like understand and whatever. But at P.E.A.S.E, everyone kind of understands, and we like go to meetings with each other after school. Sometimes, usually, what do you say? Like usually people do that almost every week, and it's a very like tight knit community, and it takes a while to kind of like figure out how you fit in, but once you do, it's really, you know, it's really great. So
you said that, you know, many of you seek, when you say go to meeting, like you go to meetings outside of school time, so you organize and go and are and supporting each other actively in your recovery outside of school too.
Yeah, we do. We have also our after school programming, which is open to people outside of P.E.A.S.E as well.
Oh, okay.
And that's Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that we do once a week. One of those days will be a meeting and food, and then another day will be something fun and food. And yeah, but we all kind of like know like the different meetings and like what's around, and like we know the people there, and yeah, people know each other's sponsors, and we just do shit like that together. So
what is one thing that you would say to a student? So thinking about yourself, trying, you know, and when you were in a different school, trying to say to your friends, like, I think this is a problem and I want to do something about it. What do you say to somebody who's listening to this and thinking about that in the isolation of their own room or in their own sort of sense of experience without access to people who get it?
Talk to somebody. It can be anyone, and I know some people that don't have a trusted person like that in their life, and that's tough, but I just encourage anyone to reach out to whoever they can, because you never know what kind of like connections you have. Like I never knew my aunt was in recovery when she was my age, and I never knew that, and then, you know, figuring that out. So I would say just reach out to somebody. Like you're not alone. Right. Second off, when I was in that position, I felt like I was the only one that could kind of understand what was happening and what I was feeling, what was going on. And then I started meeting other people in my same shoes and reading the like different books of either whatever it is, NAA, whatever, and like reading the books and being like, damn, that's me in there. So just know if you're feeling that way, that you're not alone, even though it may feel like it. Yeah, and just reach out to whoever you can, honestly. Or there's like, or some people, if some people are at a spot where they're like, you know, I'll go to a meeting, you can find them online really easily.
What would you look up in order to find?
Well, there's an app. There's a meeting app. There's a couple meeting apps, but I recommend the one with the blue chair. I forget what it's called. Okay. And then
it's like meeting guide.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, meeting guide. Yeah. And then you can just look up meetings in my NA or AA
in your
meetings.
Area?
Yeah. And it's not, you know, you don't have to just do Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. We have a student recently started that does like Recovery Dharma, which is like something else. There's like, what else is there?
There's Overeaters Anonymous. You can also go to online meetings too.
Yeah, there are online meetings like Zoom, Google Meet, that type of thing.
Just look up NA online meetings and click a couple links and you'll find some.
Yeah, and there's also, I think there's Smart Recovery. That's another program. Yeah, so there's lots of different stuff you can do, but the main thing is like, don't be afraid. And that's way easier said than done.
Yeah, right.
And try not to be too hard on yourself, which is something like I still struggle with that. But you know, even now I beat myself up over shit that I did in like active use.
Yeah, for sure.
And just know, like, yeah, just reach out. That's what I would say. Reach out to whoever you can, and it's not your fault.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is, you know, something on the other side of when you are able to process and let go of some of that shame or guilt or any of those things for your past, right? I think when you're living in recovery, you're trying to live in the here and now. You're trying to dream about your future, but you're constantly being reminded about your past.
Oh, yeah.
I think that self-compassion that you talk about, I think we can spend our entire lives developing and really learning what that means to be genuinely self-compassionate.
Yeah, not easy for sure.
No. How about you? We'll go to Ella.
I think meetings are probably the best way to go because you don't always have someone in your life, like kind of what you're saying about like public school. Like there's not, like sometimes like no one you surround yourself with will really truly understand where you're coming from. And going to a meeting, you probably won't know anyone when you first go, like, so no one, and like it's a completely judgment-free space, like.
And plus, you're in a room full of people that are literally all there for the exact same
reason.
thing.
Like
Right.
it's just a room of, it's just a bunch of drug addicts.
Yeah.
Like we understand. And if you're listening and you're like, maybe this isn't for me, then that's fine. But like the point is that you gave it a shot and you listened to it and you tried to connect. And if you couldn't, that's okay. But if you can, then, you know, you can open up to these people.
Right.
And, you know, have that space if you don't have that at home or at school or whatever. Yeah,
because even finding that that's not the space for you doesn't mean there's no space for you. It just means that one isn't it, and that's just as valuable to learn, right?
Yeah, there's so many options out there.
When you think about going, so I'm just trying to like think about going to a meeting by myself as a young person. Like my assumptions are that the people in the room will be significantly older than I am. Has it been your experience that you have been kind of surprised by the age range? Are there people who are your age?
Yeah, so there's this meeting it kind of depends what meetings you go to, especially with Alcoholics Anonymous. It definitely does go for like an older crowd.
NA is a little younger usually.
NA is definitely a bit younger, but I go to a meeting on Friday nights called Young in Recovery, and it's called Young in Recovery, so it's mostly young people, but there are a few like really old people that show up, and like it's just fun. Like you get to kind of like everyone's young at heart is what we say, you know.
Totally.
So yeah, NA is definitely like, you know, because I used to think like AA and NA was like you're in a church basement, like you've got cold coffee and you're surrounded by old men, like. Yeah.
And in some cases that is true.
Yeah,
right? You might find that, but you might find something
definitely
totally
that
different.
could be the case, but there's like a bunch of like you'll meet so many people at meetings.
I love that. How about you?
If I were to talk to someone either younger than me or the same age, I would say ask yourself those really meaningful and thoughtful questions and actually think about your answer to this. Like, do you truly want to live this way for the rest of your life? No? Then what are you going to do about it? Because this is about self-discipline as well. I would say take these small steps of get up out of your bed, clean your room, take a shower, and create a base for yourself to where you feel motivated enough to go to a meeting or open up or even write in a journal how you're feeling. But I would definitely say too, go to a meeting. And I wouldn't say if you don't like it, I would say just go to another one. Like venture out, and if like NA or AA or these types of programs aren't for you, that's okay. And you will find your peace, whether that be through religion, music, whatever else, but just do not give up, because I've been in a position where giving up felt like the only option, and I know now that I'm safe and I'm secure, and no matter what, things will be okay. And like this feeling right now, like I would say like this is temporary, and I know it doesn't feel temporary, but it is. Right. And like I'm hugging you through the mic, you know?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yep. That's really powerful. I think too, your point about like get up, take a shower, clean your room, right? Doing some of those little things. Sometimes I think we wait to feel like doing that. And sometimes that feeling doesn't come. But if you do some of those basic things, then it does change your mood. It does change and give you different access to things.
Yeah. And like, even if you don't feel like it, just force yourself.
Just do it.
Yeah. And I know that's easy to say, but just force yourself.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure like we've all dealt with that in here. Where we just have to force ourselves to get up.
Yep.
And sometimes, some days are like that. And it's okay.
It is okay. Yeah. But to keep trying.
Yeah.
Right. And find your community for sure.
I think you bring up a good point too, Mo, about creating like a okay situation for you to go to a meeting in, because like just go to meetings is like scary and new for someone that's never been before. If you go with like if you're in like a depressive hole and you like just can't, you're probably not going to want to go to a meeting. So trying to like take those little steps too is also very important.
And like I feel like change can be perspective sometimes. Yeah. And what I mean by that is like if you have the perspective of I'm not gonna enjoy it, I'm gonna want to go home, I'm probably gonna leave, then that may happen. But if you like have the willingness to try, just to have an open mind, even if you're still apprehensive, that's okay, but just have the willingness to just try. That's really helpful too. If you live in a small town, like, and there's not very many meetings at all, or like one's 20 minutes away and you don't have a ride, I would say definitely like go on Reddit. There's so many resources out there. Go on different platforms and look up like different groups that maybe you could join and reach out, because I think that we're all here to support each other.
Yeah. Sometimes I just be joining groups in like France for fun and like just on like an online meeting. Yeah.
Which is nice to find that like all around the world you have some commonalities, right? And being able to find those connections, and who knows, maybe that person in France has like one piece of wisdom that just is the thing that changes things for you, you know?
Yeah, you just never know.
You never do. Yeah, and I think, your point about being able to be online and like check in with things too, like for people who might like that step of like walking into a space that's new or different and not knowing what you're going to find, starting even with some of those online options can be a really great way to kind of test the waters, I think.
Yeah, and that's why I think P.E.A.S.E is so great, because everything we're talking about like a new person trying to like figure out and maybe go to a meeting, you get an introduction to it in a really good way at P.E.A.S.E, because you are surrounded by people maybe not exactly your age, but like in high school that are already doing these things that maybe you think you should be doing, maybe you don't want to do them at all, maybe you want to, like whatever the case may be. You're just, when you get there, you're surrounded by people that already are doing the things.
Right.
So
what is the biggest thing that you've learned so far in your time at P.E.A.S.E?
That's hard.
I like to ask hard questions.
I'll go first.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's hard because there's so many things. Like in the past 9 months or however long I've been here, like I literally learn something new every day. It's crazy. But probably this is especially like more recently. I learned that perspective is everything. And going out of your comfort zone is how you grow as a person. Recovery is like a small part of who you are. There's also like the mental health aspects, and just like there's so much going on at one time. And if you're like really struggling like with mental health, let's say, like you can be extremely depressed, and like, especially when using, you kind of don't really have like the coping mechanisms to help yourself get out of that space.
Right.
And you kind of think like, this is going to last forever. Like, I've kind of learned that, like what Mo was saying, like, you need to know that, like, it will get better. Like, it will, even if it feels like absolute right now. Like, you feel like you can't see yourself moving on. Like, you know, it changed. Like, life is constantly changing. Like, yeah, it's just, things do get better. And, like, you need to realize that that's, you know, that's not forever, this feeling that you're having.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, your life is so much bigger than any intense moment of your experience, right? And I think even when you put that into the context of recovery, I think a lot of use is about changing your state, right? It's about avoiding, or it's about running from or doing things. And so being able to recognize that your experiences have value as they are, and that they aren't, this thing isn't going to dictate how the rest of your life isn't going to go.
Exactly. You need to, you know, you can let yourself feel the emotions that you're having, but don't let them like take over, you know, because that's when it like becomes kind of unmanageable.
Totally. Yeah. You don't have to be swallowed by them, for sure. Yeah.
I would say, like, I've learned that it's okay to up, and that that love isn't conditional.
Yeah.
It's not. And that no matter what, the support that you build around you will be there. And things take time. And no matter the time, it's fine. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, time truly doesn't matter. And like, just take your time. It's gonna be okay. Have a willingness, have an open mind, and trust people, but be careful. Trust people. Yeah.
I love what you said about, you know, what you build around you, because really what you intentionally build around you is what you are surrounded with in your life, right? And so what you put your energy towards, who you put your energy into, and, you know, the efforts that you put to building those connections, or lack thereof, right, is what you're left standing with at the end of the day.
It could be a terrifying thing to surround yourself with people who don't necessarily care about your recovery.
Right.
Because they'll put you in jeopardy. So it's like, put yourself first.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be selfish, because that will turn into selflessness in the future, and you'll be able to help someone else.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Yeah, I really do believe that we're only as good for other people as we are for ourselves, right? And when we can show up really solidly with that self-love and that self-compassion, then we have so much more to give, right? I think one of my favorite quotes is like, self-care is about giving people the best of you instead of what is left of you, right?
Yeah, I like
and being able to just like know. And I think that is something that, that again, that I think P.E.A.S.E does a really great job of really, you have to take time for yourself. You have to take time to process. You have to take time to own your experiences and own your emotions in order to move through them. And then you take the time, right? Like, and I think you all mentioned that you can reach out to anybody throughout your day. And your experience is what will be prioritized.
Kind of the thing that's standing out to me is, like, the opposite of addiction is connection. We're all there for a common purpose. Like, no matter what's going on, you can always rely on somebody, and people understand what you're going through. People, like, get it. If you could talk about something with someone might have had the same experience. Like, you don't know. It's just you're in a tight-knit community of people that are going through the exact same feelings and that you are going through.
Right.
And even though it doesn't feel like that all the time, it just is. So, yeah, I'd say that's the main thing, is just the connection.
Yeah. And being brave enough, I think, to share your story so you can find those connections, right?
Yeah.
So you can say those things out loud so that someone else has an opportunity to be like, hey, me too.
For sure. For sure.
Yep.
And we joke a lot, too, about everything.
Yeah.
No, I don't see it. I think it's a very serious place all of the time.
Yeah. We don't smile.
No smiling.
No colors either.
It's taken from us.
Nope. Well, those are my main questions for you. I guess I will kind of open it up if there's anything that you particularly want to say or share before we wrap up. I think you covered everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was cool.
You all are cool. No, I really appreciate your willingness to come here and just share parts of your story, share parts of yourselves with us. I think that there's, like I said, there's a lot of value that I have in learning from you. And certainly my hope is that someone listening out there somewhere can see parts of themselves in these stories and never give up, offer that unconditional love and support for a young person, or be a young person who can offer that love and support for themselves and each other. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
You're wonderful. For all of you listening, I appreciate you tuning in and for your willingness to listen for understanding. That's what it's all about. So stay curious, ask more questions, and until next time, this is your host, Wendy Lorenz-Wellreben.